the Open. Um, I'm Jim, and he's Amadeus, and here we are, folks. We had the MLS All Star game last night. We've got the Open Championship begun, and they're playing as we speak. We'll give you some updates on that. Baseball will begin. We've got some games this afternoon and a big series this weekend in baseball between the Rays and the Orioles at the Trop. So, and that'll be for first place. So, Amadeus, all kinds of fun stuff. We got the Women's World Cup. I know both of us watched some of it this morning. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely the first game, the one that I'm sure we both missed at lovely three in the morning.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
yeah, but yeah, that it was good. I had a play on the under three in that game. It cashed, and I
Oh,
did mention to you that I thought this would be the best chance for New Zealand to flip the group on its head by
mhm.
stealing a point from the strongest team in this first match. Norway hadn't played since April, and sure enough, it showed because New Zealand won 1-0.
Yeah, and that was amazing. And what was fun too was the watching the home crowd, the Aussies win. But boy, didn't Ireland put some pressure on them there in the final moments of that game.
Yeah, definitely. Ireland started to get desperate at the end there as the Australians were tiring out. You could definitely see that. It was a very big crowd, 70, close to 76,000
Yeah.
was the attendance for that. And yeah, I thought, I didn't think Australia, so I was on Australia -1.5 in that one,
Hmm.
and that one lost. But yeah, it was a bit disappointing. They were missing their best striker, and it sure showed because they had tons of chances. But got to give the Irish credit for the defense for
Hmm.
sure because the pressure was on, but Australia just could not get a shot through, and that was definitely a big factor because Australia probably could have scored 5 or 6 goals. All they had to do was get the shot through, but a lot of it part of it was bad decisions,
Hmm.
just with passes and shooting lanes and things like that. But a lot of it was good organized defense by the Irish. But unfortunately for Ireland, that was about the only thing they did well because they were other than that last 10 minutes, they were pretty much on their heels that entire match, and it seems like scoring is going to be difficult for them because they barely got any chances in that match.
Is it me or they just don't seem to be physically as well? They're just they just get out physical every time they're in the box. You saw the Australian women being able to kind of like just push them from side to side and not they couldn't get any real positioning because they just don't seem to be as physically big as the Australian team.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is, Australia's a really good team too. They are a top 10 team in the world, so they definitely have just that advantage from the talent and skill alone, which goes, part in with that physicality effort. But yeah, definitely, this Ireland team is not that strong, and the defense was there, but definitely the attack struggled today. And I don't think it's going to get any easier because they're definitely going to struggle in their match against Canada. And when they have to play Nigeria, I mean, they might score in that one, but Nigeria also has a pretty potent attack. So it'll be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, the Irish were quick, and that's good, but they just didn't seem to be able to hold the ball. And they're also, for whatever the reason, seemingly like one step away from a score. In other words, and a couple of times they had it, but the pass was not quite pinpoint enough for you know for the player to get their foot on it, and by the time they did, then the Aussies had them throttled in that regard too.
Yeah, definitely. And again, with this Ireland team, like I said, I think they're probably going to struggle to score throughout the rest of this tournament. It seems like it. And they also suffered a big injury in that match against Colombia that happened right before the World Cup, where one of their players was hospitalized, and that was
Right.
one of their best midfielders as well. So yeah, already like they didn't start off on the right foot, and it's always tough to have to play the host nation, especially when the host nation is a top 10 team in the world, and 76,000 people show up to fill that stadium. That's got to be really tough. I did notice though the nerves were definitely there in these first matches because even Australia in the first half, it was apparently I heard them say it was like the first time in a while that Australia hadn't scored a goal in the first half, basically,
Right.
and it was interesting because early in the game they were doing a lot of those like long through balls through the air, but they weren't weighting them properly. Like they were just going way too far and out of bounds or right to the goalkeeper. So I definitely think they needed that first half to settle down. But that was also something we saw in the group stage of the men's World Cup back in December. There
Right.
was a huge trend at the start of the group stage to those first half unders.
Hmm. And it was. I just thought it was. I thought it was an entertaining match, and we'll see how it all ends. But man, it was definitely something that we'll have to see how it plays out. But it definitely. I think I think there's going to be some very big surprises in this tournament.
Yeah, well, we opened with New Zealand because
Right.
Norway was like a -1.5 favorite in that game,
Hmm.
and I'm kicking myself for not taking the +1.5 on New Zealand because I even said to you, this is the perfect
Yeah,
spot
you
for them
did.
to try and steal a point, and I was on the under 3. That was part of my reasoning for that. I thought New Zealand would be a little more defensive, but maybe Norway would win it 1-0. But yeah, it really shows that. You have these teams that haven't played in months, right? And so now you look at like a team like Canada plays Nigeria tonight, and Canada's played 4 matches in this calendar year.
Right.
3 of them were at the She Believes Cup back in February.
No.
They've lost 3 of their 4 matches in this calendar year.
Hmm. Wow. That's something you don't want to be involved in.
Yeah, and Nigeria's a team, they've won their last 3 straight. Yeah, they were friendlies, but they've played a lot more friendlies this calendar year in preparation for this competition.
Right.
And on top of that, they've actually played theirs back in April. So where Canada had one friendly in April, which they lost to France, and then those 3 matches back in February. Nigeria's coming off 3 wins just back in April. So it's
Right.
definitely going to be an interesting game for the Canadian women tonight. And even the Spanish game is going to be interesting later, I think, just because Spain coming into this has won. They beat Vietnam 9-0. They beat another team
Mhm.
7-0. So they've been absolutely throttling teams. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out because despite what we saw in that video last week,
Yeah.
the Spanish look good right now.
Yeah, they do. And there. I think there's a lot more parity in the women's side than there is in the men's side. At least among the say the top 10 teams.
Yeah, and Spain will actually they're still going to have 2 very key players, one in the midfield, one forward, Bonmati and Caldente, both who played on the Champions League champion Barcelona team. So definitely, I think this Spanish team is still going to be a threat. And their odds have actually gone down. They were +600 last about a month ago when I looked at it, and just yesterday they were +450. I saw.
Well, the one thing I can't quite get my hands around is, uh, you know, Fox does soccer, um, here in the U.S. does the World Cup. I'm getting very tired of Alexi Law. Um, it's it's difficult uh, to watch. He just, his his over analysis is just, it's like, please just stop, stop. It's just it's takes away from the game. Now the play by play in color, folks were outstanding, but when they went to the studio show, it was like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'm gonna tap out here. This is not gonna end well. Um, it just wasn't a good fit in that regard. So, we'll see. But it started, and now we've got a month of outstanding women's soccer, and we've been waiting for a long time for the women to get their turn in the World Cup, and now it's here. So tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, we'll have an opportunity to see the women from the United States and see how that plays out. Your Canadian team plays soon, so maybe we can have two good results right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting. And then after Canada plays tonight and then USA plays tomorrow, I noticed they go to a more condensed, like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m. kind of schedule because they don't have teams playing in those until Colombia plays in the 10 o'clock window, like
Right.
3 days from now or something.
Yeah. So they're gonna, yeah. So things will get really ramped up coming up. So
Yeah, you'll wake up and there'll be four matches that you
right.
didn't even know went off already.
They'll say, wait a minute, is the MLS still playing? Aren't they supposed to play all at one time? Speaking of that, we have tomorrow. We have, of course, Lionel Messi taking the pitch in Fort Lauderdale to face Cruz Azul, and you know, the funny part of this is you've got two games tomorrow. One's in Miami, the other's in Orlando. Then you've got the following day, you've got three games. They're all in Texas. So you're sitting there going, all right,
Wait, what?
wait a minute. what what's going on here? We have a tournament where you would think, okay, I can control this. Let me have a game in the East Coast and a game in the West Coast, and game, do that, or a game in the East Coast, a game perhaps in either the Central or the Mountain Time zone, and then give me a third game in on the West Coast. But it seems like once again you've got and the other thing you would think from the standpoint of ticketing and all that, why would you want to have two games, basically for all intents and purposes, 300 miles away from each
Yeah, like again, I don't get cup matches are supposed to be like fun too, fun for the fans,
other?
So I would have spaced out the matches a little bit more, but I don't know.
Time for a phone call, guys. Time for a phone call.
Yeah, yep.
We'll get back to that. Okay.
Obviously, the League's Cup hasn't been watching. The MLS is taking suggestions, but the
Right.
League's Cup is
They
just
just
nope.
don't. We're gonna have to get in touch with those folks and explain. You got to pay attention. Quick look at the leaderboard. And this is gonna be the Open title first round is complete. It's in the books, and Christo Lampersh is leading. He's 500. He's tied with Tommy Fleetwood, who's of course a Brit. You've got Emilio Grigalio, who is also tied. So you have three people tied at the top, but only a stroke back is Roser. You've got Antrul, which is he's at 4 under, and then Brian Harmon from the United States, Stuart Sink from the U.S. at 3 under. Wyndham Clark is at 3 under, and Alex Noren is at 3 under, and you've got Max Home also at 3 under, and I think that's 2 under is Matthew Boardman. Jordan Spieth is at 2 under, and Wu Casales is at 2 under. So it's a pretty jam-packed leaderboard there for round one of the Open title. So there's that going on right now.
A lot of the European Tour players in those top spots.
Yeah, and not surprisingly. Quick look at the scoreboard this afternoon. Diamondbacks, top of the fifth. That's been a very entertaining series. And just as
So,
we spoke, the Diamondbacks plated yet another run. They're 5-3 up on the Braves in the top of the eighth. In the bottom of the sixth, it is the Reds beating the Giants 5-0. One hitter being spun there. Brewers, Phillies. Brewers 3, Phillies nothing. Padres and Blue Jays. They're in the fourth. Jays up by a score 1-0. Top of the fifth. Sox 2, Mets zip. Top second, Royals and the Tigers are no score. A 3:40 first pitch at the Twins up in Seattle with the Mariners, and tonight at 6:40 p.m., Orioles and Rays. Start of a 4-game series for first place in the East. That game will be on the MLB Network, starting at 7 o'clock, and should be a really interesting stuff. You got Gibson on the hill for the Birds, and for the Rays, it's Tyler Glasnow. So that's your scoreboard. Oh, sorry. There's 2 games that are late tonight. Cubs and Cardinals. There's a little bit of a rivalry there, and Astros and Athletics rounded out. That's a 9:40 first pitch tonight. So there you go on that one. So yeah, 4-game series starting tonight at the Trop, and Orioles and the Rays. Who would have thunk it, right?
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, especially now that the Orioles are right within striking distance. So,
Yeah, I mean, they're for all intents and purposes, it's a flat out tie. So yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting thing. Now, the thing is that the Rays are playing 800, which is just phenomenal. 800 ball at home. So that's you know talk about your home cooking, boy. That's home cooking.
yeah, they've definitely had the advantage there. They've been very mediocre on the road.
Yeah, they've been a 500 team, so you can't get much more mediocre than that. And it, it's we talked about it yesterday because we can't go a day without trading, you know, Otani. Um, there has been some talk about the fact that you know Otani might be on the move, and one Bleacher Report said that that the Yankees are interested in talking to the Angels about Otani going there. Now the irony is that the Angels just swept the Yankees in a 3-game series. So
And the
you know,
Yankees are in last of their
right?
division now. The Angels aren't.
Yeah. So maybe they, it may by the end of the month we might be hearing conversations about the Angels asking about the possibility of trading Mike Judge. you know, Aaron Judge. I'm sorry, Mike Judge is the cartoonist. Aaron Judge to the Angels. So we'll see how that all works out. But you know, it wouldn't be a day if we didn't talk about where's Otani going.
Well, if you're the Yankees, like I get obviously you're the Yankees and you're always a playoff team. You have to push for the playoffs, but what are you thinking going for him when he's probably not going to stay in New York at the end of the season and he's not going to help you get to the playoffs in the division you're in? You have a mountain to climb right now.
Yeah, I mean it makes no. It would make. I mean this probably more than anything else was just somebody speculating on what it would take for the Yankees. And the Yankees again, they had to rebuild a farm system that they depleted over the years. So it's not exactly like the Yankees have a lot of prospects that people are excited about getting. So that's doesn't seem the way that you know that they're going. The Mets, by the way, placed Starling Marte on the injured reserve list, so he's going to be out for a while. So,
Oh,
the problems with the Mets continue.
yeah,
Uh,
that's going to be a big problem for them.
that's a big mess, and they're I'm looking scrolling through here real quick to take a look at. who is in the midst. By the way, for those of you who, if you're a fan of baseball and you want to know what's going on, there's a great site. It's called MLB Trade Rumors, and they probably get things done faster, and they aggregate the content, so you don't have to go looking. They've got all of the stuff right there, and they're talking about different things today. I was just looking for that. The Rays have some interest in Marcus Stroman, is one of their um, top stories today. Um, the Rays could use some starting pitching, and apparently they have shown interest in the Cubs right-hander Marcus Stroman, and so keep an eye out for that one.
So the Rays get Marcus Stroman, and then the Blue Jays get Blake Snell, and then they can face each other playing
Right,
for the
for 4
opposite
innings.
teams.
So, yeah,
Yeah, for just for the 4 innings.
right. Then it's gone. Then it's definitely. Yeah.
Then they're both out of the game.
And here's a shocker: the the A's are open to trading pretty much, I guess, anybody on the field.
I thought they did that already.
They did, but they got they've got a new crop of people they're going to trade. The funny thing is that the A's organization trade from a minor league standpoint is always remains still good. I mean, it's not like they went bad. They're still there. So
Well, it has to be when you spend like $0 every year.
yeah, I mean you got plenty of stuff. Um, there is they're talking about the possibility of um, you know they whether or not we talked about it, the Angels making Otani available. That's definitely we know is a possibility. The Cardinals have considered shifting their focus to trading. So the Cardinals have some older guys with bigger contracts that if you're willing to eat the contract, you could get a named player off the Cardinals. Now, whether or not Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldsmith, who we talked about the other day, are willing to be in that trade, they may. But they're guys who have the ability to block a trade. So depending upon where you're going to send them, they definitely are part of the mix. By the way, not just only the Rays are looking at Marcus Stroman, so are the Rangers, and they're also looking at Cody Bellinger. So there's that going on, and the the Blue Jays, they say, have targeted a handful of players, but they haven't basically said anything more about who those players that they're looking at are. So we shall see. And the Orioles got Fujiyama from the A's. He's an outfielder, and I'm sorry, he's a pitcher. They traded him for an outfielder. They designated him to the Eastern League for just to get him in shape so that he'll be up in time to pitch sometime soon for the Orioles. So the Orioles have made an early trade. Obviously, it's not a big one, but sometimes those little trades turn out to be big. So you never know. So,
Yeah, well, I definitely remember Shintaro Fujiyama at the beginning of the season. He was not good. So,
well, he hasn't gotten much better. But it's one of those things where they think maybe they don't really. The Orioles bullpen is not bad, so my guess is they probably are just working on that to just to give them a couple of arms back there to give some guys a rest. Maybe that's how at this point. But yeah, they definitely don't need them. It's a need versus want situation, and right now they don't need them. So we'll see how that all plays out. But that's where we are this afternoon at 2:29. We'll be right in the middle of it on on the trade deadline day, which is August 1st. So we'll the interesting and fun part about that is at a little bit after the time we go off, which is about 3 o'clock, then 4:30 is the trade deadline. So we'll have a lot of trade information of that day, and I think it's going to be a fascinating situation from a gambling standpoint. How, is that something that Vegas keeps an eye on with the trade deadline, or is that more something that the folks who are involved in the gambling aspect of it pay attention to?
Oh, definitely. I think everybody's paying attention to the trade deadline, especially in baseball, because teams become buyers and sellers. So all of a sudden you got one team selling all their good players and another one trying to buy up as many as you can just to
Right.
go juggernaut mode on their way to the playoffs. So everybody's watching. A big thing I've actually heard about this year is Otani getting traded to the NL kills all tickets that anybody who had him to win AL MVP. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. I actually know a few people who have been betting other MVPs in the AL just on the off chance Otani gets traded to the NL.
I, you know, I understand what you're talking about, but I have to look. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, but um, I think you can still win. Let's say Otani gets traded to somewhere in the National League. He can still get enough votes in the American League for what he did during the time he was in the league to perhaps win it. I don't think it's ever happened. I'm just saying there is, in that regard, there's a possibility that
So
could.
you're saying he could win both technically AL and
Well, yeah,
NL
that's that theory. Yeah,
in the
that
same year.
it might be a little more tough than it seems. Yeah, but
Everybody just voting for him.
yeah, it's. By the way, the one of the other things that fascinated me is that the Brewers have been, and the Brewers are in first place, and they've been shopping around Christian Yelich.
Really?
So that kind of was a little bit of a surprise to me.
That makes no sense when they literally just took the lead back too, and
Yeah,
they've been playing great. Their pitching's been great, and
yeah.
why you already have one of the worst offenses in the MLB? Why are you getting rid of probably one of your best players?
I'm gonna go with I have no idea, but
Sounds like a real Red Sox move.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? So, yeah, let's trade John Lester just because maybe we can get a couple players for him that we can use down the stretch run. No, it doesn't make any sense, but then again, it is after all, um, you know, we're talking about a, a team here that doesn't always make sense. We do the best we can. Um, we talked about Cruz Azul as we kind of down to back to soccer in Miami, and this is, I think that they're kind of flying under the radar because everybody is so, Messi fixated that you know you talked about it yesterday, and I think this is a point to make because we saw it today, in Women's World Cup, and that is the importance of defense, and especially in these types of games. So, uh, do you see Cruz Azul going? Is are they a 2 or 3 goal team against a team as bad as Miami is in the back?
Yeah, I think they could score, definitely. They could score goals. The thing is, they also give up goals,
Right.
so it wouldn't shock me if it's a high scoring match with two bad defenses. But I think defense is where Cruz Azul probably has the advantage, and they probably know that, especially since you're not going to outscore Messi, even though he still has to have somewhat of a cast. But yeah, when Bill came in the chat the other day, they were at plus 115.
Uh huh.
Inter Miami is now even money, and I guarantee that'll be minus by tomorrow morning. And can't say I'll be on it, that's for sure.
So Jordi Alba is going to join Sergio Busquets and Messi in Miami.
That's interesting. That one I didn't hear. I heard about the Busquets news, but
Yeah.
that must have been very recent, Jordi Alba. So
it just came across the wire. Veteran defender Jordi Alba is set to join his former FC Barcelona teammate Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets in Miami later this week.
well, you know what? He his contract didn't get renewed, and maybe he knew that. Him and Busquets, obviously, they were on Barcelona when Barcelona didn't renew their contract this year. So that might have been something they talked about. Hey, we're gonna follow Messi to wherever he goes, and this is something I've touched on a lot. Even when we thought he was going to the Saudis, we mentioned that Di Maria was a name that we brought up. I did bring up Busquets as one to follow him to Saudi Arabia. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear Di Maria's coming to my, like, I'm telling you, this is slowly turning into like Messi's there now. Notice you hear these names now that he's physically there with the team because he sees the team that's there. And notice he's bringing it. Alba and Busquets are what? Both defensemen.
Right.
So obviously, right away, he recognized the problem with the team. And slowly he's saying, okay, we got to bring in some of my buddies because even at 40 years old, they're better defenders than the guys I'm playing with right now.
Right. Well,
So
make the guys that he's playing with better.
Yeah, absolutely, right. But I think he's bringing these guys, and obviously they want to follow him and play with him, and they just want to have fun. Their focus is having fun at this point.
Right.
But definitely, it doesn't shock me that the first two buddies he called up to join him were defensemen. So,
right.
I'm not the only one that sees the problem. He knows what the problem is with the team, and he knows him being there is not going to help the defense in any way.
Well, I think it's important that that you were able to speak to him about it and tell him, ahead of time, Messi, you got to bring some of the, put the band back together. We need this because otherwise it's going to be a mess. And so he's definitely, and it's funny because funny in a good way. He actually is being given the ability by Miami to bring in these guys.
Yeah, so I'm wondering now. I don't think they're going to play in Friday, right? Because
no.
Obviously,
no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because I was going to say Busquets just got there on the weekend, and Alba we're hearing about today. So
yeah,
I still feel pretty good about the Messi debut tomorrow. Everybody running to go bet on Messi, but I think, if he's bringing in these defensemen, it wouldn't surprise me to see Miami improve towards the end of the season as these players start to, come in and play, actually.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what we got here information-wise. The preview of the odds and betting, they said the top U.S. sports books and the best of the bonuses and promos. Here's the top U.S. sportsbook, what they say. Let's see. Caesars. Let's see what we got.
Good old Caesars.
Oh, Caesar, I apologize. I thought this was going to give me the betting rankings, but they just give me the rankings of the sports books. That's not what we want. We want to know what they're talking about. Well, they're not talking about much. So all we know is the preview is Cruz Azul. Okay, let's see what we got down here. It says neither Miami nor Cruz Azul are among the top favorites to win the title this year. However, Cruz Azul is a solid team, and they said that they're giving it by Caesars offering Okay, let's look at what Caesars has on them. The odds on Caesars Sportsbook is um, I don't get this is ridiculous. They gave me the link to it, but they don't give me the thing. Do you have any links on what tomorrow is going to be like? You just mentioned some, but I don't see where we're getting any heavy duty betting information.
Let me see here. I know Sportsmall is always a good one to go to.
Yeah.
They might have a prediction on the game where there'll be plenty of information in there.
Is that something you'll be talking about, or are you just going to let that one pass?
For what, the Inter Miami game?
Yeah, will you do something on Inter Miami?
I haven't
I'm not
decided.
putting you on the spot. I'm just saying, tomorrow, is that something you put? Okay, the money line in Cruz Azul is plus 245. It's plus 105 for Miami. The possibility of a draw, plus 255 for Cruz Azul, plus 265 for Inter Miami. The over is 2.5 goals. That's minus 125 for Cruz Azul. It's still the under is also 2.5, and that's 110. So there you go. That's from covers.com.
Yeah, there's it's pretty even on the total because they're not sure what's going to happen in the match. That's usually what that means when even when I handicap a game, I can kind of tell. I go, okay, you got one team that's probably this going to be an over, but then you got the other one that suggests that this is a good under spot for them, and I can already tell. I'm going to say, there's going to be value on the 2.5. But which way is it going to go? Because I bet the books don't even know. And sure enough, whenever I see the minus 110 for both sides, because obviously that's the pick'em as they call it. That's basically the book saying, you know what, this could be 0-0, this could be 2-2.
Yeah. Well, here's what the book says. It says, I don't know if Messi will get, in the pit on the pitch and when. Could be 60 minutes into the game. Or I guess I don't expect him to play more than 10 or 15 minutes. He goes, but you can bet on this that signs point to him making a cameo appearance late in the second half, and when the hoopla starts, he goes, and expectations, a ravenous crowd will lose their mind, and it's going to be one of those situations where he says a starstruck Cruz Azul could be looking at him and not looking at him kicking the ball in the back of the net. So he says they're not making many predictions he's going to do it, but they're saying here that wouldn't be surprised if Messi got a junk goal in the final moments of the game.
I'm just curious who wrote that.
Hang on, I'll tell you. It's covers.com.
Covers, okay. I guess.
The author is Jason Entz.
It's interesting. It's an interesting point he makes with Cruz Azul being starstruck. But the way I look at it is these are still professional athletes. And they're not going to be starstruck in the middle of the game with 10 minutes to go, especially when they have a chance to put the clamps down. Yeah,
he's saying that it wouldn't be surprised if Cruz Azul is up 3-0 by the time Messi gets in the game.
See, that's the other thing, right? Like so the total's 2.5 because this could be one where both teams struggle to score. We could be looking at a scoreless draw here.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams have bad defenses. We could be looking at 2-2, 3-2 type of game, which is goals. So that's one of those situations I was talking about. That's why you see the line the way it is.
Because here's the stat. Cruz Azul is facing a team that has been outscored to 6-1 in 3 outings and 3 League MX outings. So Cruz Azul is, I guess, been not good at putting the ball in the back of the net. They've only scored 1 goal in their last 3 times they've played against
Yeah, so
opponents. Three
they
different.
haven't been playing well lately,
Yeah.
but their season just started. They're 2 games into it. They did finish last season off great, which ended around like April Mayish. They didn't finish
Yeah.
off great, but this is like I said, they finished in the top half of the league or top 10 of the league, top half, I guess, yeah, because I think there's 18 teams, so they finished top 9 pretty much in both the Apertura and the Clausura. So no matter the way they started this season and the way they finished last season, they were still a top half team in Mexico. So their performance prior to that proved themselves to me as a good team. They may not be playing well right now, but like I said, the motivation is going to be there.
Okay. Well, here's what he predicts for Messi. If he scores a goal, it'll happen in the 76th minute or sometime in full time.
I'll give you one even better.
76 to 90.
I'll give you one even better because that is a betting thing. You can bet goal from 76 to 90. So that's the bet he's going with. Here's the one I'll go with, and I cashed this in the World Cup, and I wouldn't be afraid to bet it in this game. If Messi's going to score in this game, Messi scores from the spot.
Right. So he's going to get a penalty.
Some kind of, and it may be an extra time. It may not even be in the 90 minutes. If it ends in a draw and goes to extra, because I could see that happening.
Oh, yeah.
He scores from the stop. If Messi scores in this game, he scores from the spot. There's no other way.
I'm looking for a thunderstorm that absolutely that comes right about, I mean, there could be, that's Florida this time of year. You could be sitting there and all of a sudden the skies open up and the ball doesn't travel well when it's sloshing along on the pitch. But
See, that's the other thing with Messi. You got to remember, he played most of his career for Barcelona in nice and sunny Spain. He wasn't a dreary in the rain Premier League kind of player. So
Right.
is he gonna love playing in those kind of humid rainstorms? That's the other thing. Is he gonna be used to it?
There's a difference though. The rain in England is cold.
Yeah, it's really cold.
The rain in Miami is like getting hit with a shower massage from your.
It's like jumping in the pool.
Right. Yeah. It's it's usually a heavy, fast rain, and what happens is it just comes down in buckets for 25, 30 minutes and it's gone. But yeah, what it does do is it makes the pitch kind of really squishy. But I think
Yeah.
that the point, in talking back in the old days with the NASL guys, um, they didn't mind it. What they minded was what happened afterwards, because then the humidity gets really, 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 you cut it like a knife type tough. So
It can
that's
be bothersome for sure, humidity.
yeah, and so yeah. Look, I totally agree with you. I think that if Messi does score a goal, it probably will be a penalty, and it's not like the officials wouldn't you know, see something. He gets bumped in the box and they call it, and it may be a cheapie, but they want to get him on the board.
That's the other thing, right? Like, it may be very ticky tacky.
Oh,
And it
I'm
wouldn't
thinking there's no way this guy isn't getting every call that possibly could come his way.
exactly. We have a name for it up here. It's called the Gretzky treatment. He's gonna get the good old Gretzky treatment, where the refs will just look the other way for him, and they'll be when the defenders are on him, then they're gonna be like extra honed in with binoculars.
On the I-95 corridor, which is basically between New York and Washington, um, it's referred to as the Sidney Crosby treatment.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's like you know I forget who. It wasn't Ovechkin, but I think it was Nicky Backstrom who said that all you have to do is breathe on 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 Sid, and he gets I'll get in the box for 2 minutes. Um, so there's that. But yeah, I mean, look, superstars get yeah, it's like we talk in baseball. Max Scherzer is going to get, if the ball's on the black and it's what any other pitcher's going to get called a ball on it. Scherzer's going to get a strikeout.
Yeah. LeBron goes for the layup. He's going to get
Yep.
the extra step.
He'll get the extra step. LeBron goes for the layup, and a guy steps in front of him. There's no charge. It's the foul on the guy who steps in front. So yeah, superstars get superstar treatment, and officials look that way, and if there's even the hint of the possibility that that something happened, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt, and it has been that way since the beginning of time, and I don't think it's going to change.
Yep.
So there you go, boys and girls. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, just check out my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I had 3 MLB up, won one already. Had the first 5 under in the Brewers Phillies game, which I think the full game under cash too. And one's live right now. I got one more for tonight though, if you need your baseball fix. And the only thing I have on the pitch today, nothing in South America that I liked, but we got the 10 p.m. game in the Women's World Cup later that you can watch, or if you're on the West Coast, you can definitely watch that at a better time. And the good old 3 a.m. match in the Women's World Cup, which that'll probably just be one you'll have to wake up to with some money in your bank.
Real quick, who is that 3 a.m. game?
Oh, it's the Spain-Costa Rica game.
Oh, okay. Just I was not that I was going to get up and watch it. Just I was curious to find out.
Yeah, and then the 10 o'clock is the Canada-Nigeria game, and then in between you have Philippines and I forget who the Philippines are playing. Switzerland.
Well, there you go. Hey, real quick, here's the scoreboard. The Giants are in the top of the ninth, batting to stay in the ball game. They're down by 4. It's 5-1 the Reds. They're in the middle of the ninth in Philadelphia, where the Brew Crew is up on the Phillies 4-0. They are at the top of the sixth in Toronto. The Jays continue to hold on to a 1-run lead there. It's 1-0 Jays over the Padres. The bottom of the sixth inning at the Citizens Bank. No, I'm sorry, not Citizens Bank. I get the wrong bank. Citibank. At City Park in Flushing, it is the White Sox 6 and the Mets 1. The Mets continue their downward spiral. Wait a second here. We got end of third, and I got it. There we go. End of third. Tigers 2, Royals nothing. They're warming up with the Twins and the Mariners. That game's Lopez on the hill for the Twins. Kirby's got the ball for the Mariners. O's and Rays at 6:40 tonight. Told you earlier, Gibson on the hill for Baltimore. Tyler Glasnow on the hill for the Rays. You've got Cubs and the Cardinals. That's a old school rivalry. You got Matz on the hill, of course, for the Cardinals. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him. Well, here we talked about it. It's Matz and Stroman. So you got 2 guys who are auditioning this afternoon for
to the league, not to the other team. This one's just to the league.
Yeah, this is to anybody wishing to get a starting pitcher. You got Matz and Stroman pitching today.
Only scouts are going to be watching that one.
Right, exactly. Let's hope that they don't have a Giolito moment and are 7 runs down before they know what happened. A final, and this was a come from behind win. The Braves came from behind and beat the D-backs by a score 7-5. And
another wild game.
Yeah, another one. I gotta believe that the Braves are happy to see that jet fly out of Hartsfield, taking the Arizona Diamondback with them. And the Reds just a second ago closed out that game and won it So Cincinnati has taken the Giants, and so the Reds are, finished for the day. Late games tonight. I think we did the Cardinals Cubs. We didn't do this one. It's the Astros and the A's. Francis on the hill for Houston, and Harris gets the ball for the Athletics. So there you go. There's your baseball for this afternoon. All right, and we've already told you who is. There's a three-way tie for first place in the Open Championship, and basically you've got 10 guys within 3 strokes of the lead. So typical Open title. Everybody on the everybody on the leaderboard has a chance on day one to fly into score, and we'll see how it goes tomorrow because the guys who played early in the morning, I think, had a benefit of the doubt because it got a little chippy there in the afternoon. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe tomorrow it'll be the other way around, and you get the weather will be better in the afternoon than it is in the morning. We'll see. Anyway, so we'll have all that information for you tomorrow, and we'll also know if there's a new. Well, there will be a team in first place in the American League East. Will it be the Rays who can hold serve at home court, or is it going to be the hard charging Orioles? We'll see that information for you tomorrow as well. So, gonna have all kinds of stuff. We'll have some messy, I'm sure, more messy information coming our way. So, all kinds of fun coming tomorrow. So, for Amadeus, and remember, all of Amadeus's info on where to find everything that he's doing is in the show box below. Do not forget to look there. And if you are catching us on replay, which a lot of you do, I know, always check your watch and go back and check Amadeus' stuff because he has things that will happen tonight. So you don't want to miss that. Okay? All right. For Amadeus, I'm Jim. Have a nice day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.